Hey guys, Midget here, bringing you another Walking Dead video review. Today is episode 8, Cold in Nebraska, and I just forgot to mention it is in season 2, like you would expect. Rick just shot Sophia. That's like the start, you know. What happens is, right, that Rick just literally shot Sophia, so it starts off exactly where the last episode ended, and, you know, Beth gets attacked, because she's like really, what's it? She's like kind of crying, so she goes up to her mum and she gets attacked by her mum, you know. So Andrea kills her mum with a scythe, or scythe, I don't know how you pronounce it. Hershel, you know, gets a bit angry at everyone and says get off their land immediately and just wants everybody to leave. And I understand why, you know, I understand why he'd do that. Shane calls Rick delusional, and Daryl joins Carol in the caravan and just talks to her, you know, and everything, you know. He's a really good guy, you know, Daryl, even though he doesn't show it. But then Carl said that Shane did the right thing, and Laurie's a bit scared by this, and she tells Dale to take Carl back into the house, which, you know, Dale goes sure. And Laurie wants Carol to go. Laurie wants Carol to go to her little girl's funeral, but, you know, Carol just produces something that's absolutely dead. Well, just sad to hear for Daryl and Laurie. She's like, that's not my little girl. She didn't want to come back. She didn't try and find a way back. My little girl is long gone. You know, she's long dead. You know, so sort of Laurie walked out first, and Daryl walked out. And what happens is, right, then Hershel packs his stuff and gets his alcohol ready and goes to the funeral. And, you know, Maggie talks to Glenn about the future, you know, probable future, because, you know, they're meant to leave. And, you know, basically Beth collapses, and, you know, she's in shock. She's there, like, paralyzed almost, and Hershel has disappeared. So Rick is clever and asks where he could be, and, you know, after hearing Maggie's story about his drinking problems before she was born, he knows he's at the local bar, sorry, not barn. But Shane is washing his head, and he sees something, and it is Carol. He apologised for the bar incident, you know, how he, like, you know, he shouldn't have really done that, because then she wouldn't have known about Carol, and she wouldn't have the devastating truth. But in a way, it is the better, you know, having the devastating truth, rather than just living with no truth. But Dale tells Laurie the exact truth about killing Otis, and Laurie doesn't believe him. He's like, I believe you killed Otis for sacrifice, because maybe they were pinned down, and that is sort of the right thing. Dale did actually say, apart from, you know, they weren't pinned down, of course, he couldn't make it out alive, so he had to shoot Otis, but Laurie didn't believe it. And this is while Rick and Glenn head to the car. But Laurie asks Daryl to fetch Glenn and Rick, and she calls Daryl selfish, and Daryl flips and goes, I've been looking for Sophia every single day while you were just sat there doing nothing, and how dare you call me selfish? She goes, you want them, you go get him. And it was like, oh damn, thanks Daryl, that's exactly what I wanted to say. You know, it was just really funny. I kind of like that bit. And the next thing, Laurie goes to fetch Rick and Carl by herself, of course, and the most probable thing happens. She crashes, she looks at the map, and she hits a walker. She drives straight, and then just goes, and rams into a tree and flips. Like, who would do that? You rammed into a walker, just drive straight. She, like, drives straight, and then goes, and just flips. And I was like, what are you doing, woman? This is why women shouldn't be driving. But, Hershel admits he has now come to terms with reality, and, you know, T-Dog and Shane burn the rotting corpses, pretty much, and, Rick and them, like, you know, after a giant, like, speech between Rick and Hershel, you know, they're about to leave, but there's some really dodgy guys coming called Dave and someone else. But Rick talks to a random guy. They look dodgy. They're like, you know, can we come in your farm? Blah 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 blah. You know, being very, you know, just very awkward to be around, I guess. And you know, they're still very suspicious. And Rick is aware of that suspicion from his side. And you know, he's like, and they say for the last time can they come into the farm? And then the one guy's just there, like, looks, grabs his gun, but Rick shoots him, does a 180 and shoots the other guy, and shoots him about 3 times while, you know, Hershel and Glenn are just there watching. And that's how it ends. I can't believe I did this episode in 5 minutes. It's because it was a really boring episode, and that's because that's why I'm going to get a 5 out of 10, because it was absolutely boring. There was nothing that caught my eye in this episode, apart from the fact that Pretty Much Dead Already was said, and that's the title. No, sorry, no. It's a really boring episode. I didn't feel it at all, and yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this episode, guys. If you did, make sure to give it a like, and this is Midget, and I'm going to see you guys next time.